Millinar sat alone at the lunch table, no lunchbox. No sandwich, no bag, just his hands folded, pretending he wasn't hungry. Across the table, someone laughed. And before the bell rang again, his mother walked through the cafeteria doors. The cafeteria smelled like warm bread and fried food. Kids tore open wrappers. Juice boxes popped. Millinar didn't move. A boy across from him leaned forward. "Forgot your lunch again?" He sneered. Another laughed. "Or did you eat it on the way?" "Oh, wait, you never have one." Millinar smiled. The kind of smile you use when you don't want anyone to see you breaking. He stared at the table, feeling his stomach tighten into a knot. This wasn't new. He always told his friends he wasn't hungry, but hunger doesn't just disappear because you lie about it. It sits there, a quiet ache, reminding you of what you don't have. He counted the tiles on the floor, trying to make the time pass faster. Each giggle from the other table felt like a small stone being thrown at him. He just wanted the bell to ring, to escape, to be invisible. A girl sitting nearby shook her head with a look of pity. "My mom packs way too much food. Do you want some?" But before Millinar could even think of an answer, another voice cut in, sharp and cruel. "Don't bother." He's used to starving. Laughter erupted around the table. Loud, careless, it echoed in the large room, making him feel even more isolated. Millinar pushed his chair back slightly, not to leave, but just to make himself smaller, as if he could shrink away from their words. He glanced up at the clock on the wall. 10 minutes left, 10 minutes to survive. He focused on the slow, ticking hand of the clock, willing it to move faster. He could almost taste the water he'd drink from the fountain after lunch, imagining it filling the emptiness in his stomach. The sounds of chewing and crinkling wrappers seemed amplified, a constant reminder of the meal he was missing. What those kids didn't know, what they couldn't see, was the world Millinar came from. His mom worked 2 jobs. One ended late at night, the other started before the sun came up. She was a ghost in their small apartment, always coming or going. That morning, when he'd opened the fridge, it had been empty except for a half-empty carton of milk and a jar of pickles. She had kissed his forehead as he was leaving for school, her eyes tired but full of love. "Eat when you get home, okay, honey?" she had whispered. He nodded, he always did. He never told her about the hunger or the jokes. He didn't want to add another worry to her already heavy shoulders. Suddenly, the heavy cafeteria doors creaked open. At first, no one really noticed. The chatter and laughter continued. But then the noise began to slow down, table by table, as heads turned toward the entrance. Millinar looked up, and his heart stopped. It was his mother. She was still in her cleaning uniform, her hair tied back in a messy bun, and her work shoes looked worn thin. She was holding a small brown paper bag in both hands, clutching it like it was the most precious thing in the world. She walked straight to his table. Each step she took seemed to echo in the now quiet room. The kids who had been laughing just moments before suddenly found their lunch trays incredibly interesting, staring down at their food. She didn't look at any of them. Her eyes were only on Millinar. She placed the bag gently on the table in front of him. "I'm so sorry I'm late," she said softly, her voice barely a whisper. "I didn't want you to be hungry." Her voice trembled, just a little, with exhaustion and love. Millinar slowly stood up, a lump forming in his throat. His eyes started to burn. Then his mother turned her gaze to the other kids at the table. "I know it's easy to laugh," she said quietly, but her voice carried across the silent room. "But some families are fighting battles you can't see." There was no anger in her voice, no shouting, just the simple, undeniable truth. "I may not have much," she continued, looking from face to face, "but I make sure my son knows he's never alone." No one laughed now. The silence was heavy. Some of the kids looked down, ashamed. The boy who had made the cruelest joke looked like he wanted the floor to swallow him whole. One of the other boys whispered, I didn't know." His mother's words hung in the air, changing the atmosphere of the entire cafeteria. She had not only brought him lunch, she had brought him dignity. Millinar slowly sat back down and opened the brown paper bag. Inside was a simple sandwich, an apple, and a small note folded on top. He picked it up and unfolded it. 2 words were written in his mother's familiar handwriting. "I love you. Always." He looked up at his mom. And a real smile, a genuine one, finally broke through. He felt taller than he had just a few minutes ago. The same kids who had mocked him now sat in absolute silence. Then, one of them quietly slid their extra bag of chips toward him across the table. Millinar hesitated for a moment, then gave a small nod of thanks. That day in the cafeteria, Millinar didn't gain popularity. He didn't suddenly become the most liked kid in school, but he gained something so much better. He gained respect. And years later, whenever people would ask him where his strength came from, he didn't talk about overcoming challenges or being tough. He always thought of that simple lunch. He thought of that brown paper bag, that sandwich, and that apple. And most of all, he thought of the woman who walked into a room full of laughter and silenced it with love. Never laugh at someone's empty plate. You don't know the love and sacrifice it took just to bring them to the table. Thanks for watching. Remember to be kind, and we'll see you in the next video.